Welcome! Today we're looking at the Dreadnought fight against the twins, primarily about this health share and how that works, but we're also going to look at the attack animations and some other tips also. This is from the wiki, and it basically says if one of the Dreadnoughts has taken more damage than the other one, that's when they would do this health share. It regenerates their armor, but also that health share is massively in their benefit. So it's simple then, keep them on the same health, end of the video. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know I like to go into more of the data, and that's exactly what I've done here. I really wanted a better way to visualize this health difference and make it tangible, something I could understand. On Hazard 5 with 4 players, the Dreadnoughts have got 7,650 health each. A Praetorian on the same hazard level and player count has got 1,125. If we then put this down onto our Dreadnoughts here, it's effectively 6.8 Praetorians worth of health that they have. This clip is using the Hazard 5 carry mod, which effectively makes the game think there are 4 players in the game, so that I've got that higher health amount on the Dreadnoughts. This image is the frame before the health transfer, and we can see it's approximately 3 Praetorians worth of health damage we've done to the Lacerator, with 0 to the Arbalest. But after the health transfer, we can see it's sort of between 0.7 and 0.8 of the actual health which has been lost on both of them now. If we bring in a visual aid now, we can see the bottom green arrow is the health that the Lacerator actually lost before the health transfer. Those red arrows is now the health that each of them has lost after the transfer. And this blue bar, that is our wasted damage because they've healed it back up. Bringing some rough numbers into this, we can really see that wasted potential and how this is going to affect our bottom line, our ammo, and those resupplies. And this really helps us see what the wiki is trying to tell us, that effectively if we're not efficient, they're going to heal half of the damage that we have done. The wiki also says when certain conditions are met, they do the health transfer. So I wanted to test if it was literally just the health or if there were other factors involved. So one of the things I did was loaded up a game and took off the armor of both of the Dreadnoughts, but didn't deal any more damage than that, to see if they would just do the health transfer just to regenerate each other's armor. Long story short, basically the answer is no. There is one reason they will do the transfer when it isn't to do with health, and that I will cover later on. I tested if hazard levels made any difference and overlaid a hazard 1 and a hazard 5, and basically the health transfer is just dictated on the percentage lost, not the amount of health lost. This meant I could run most of these experiments on a lower hazard level, and that made my life a little bit easier when making this video. My first experiment was to see how inefficient we could be, so effectively I would do the Dreadnought fight only focusing on the Lacerator. All 100% of my damage would go onto the Lacerator to see how many times they would do the health transfer, how many times they would heal. I left Bosco to do all of the DPS so that I wouldn't swing it with a big spike in damage. I even did this on the Hazard 5 runs, which was easier said than done. From running this experiment multiple times on Hazard 1 and on Hazard 5, it was always the same 3 health transfers they would do. I even pushed this as far as possible to see if they would do a 4th transfer, but they wouldn't. If 3 transfers is our worst case scenario, I obviously wanted to run the experiment to see the flip side of that, and this time I just fired 1 shot at each of the Dreadnoughts, trying to keep them on exactly the same health for as best as I could, and then I could see there was only 1 transfer when I did this experiment. Even with taking 1 shot at each of them, they will always do 1 health transfer. This is because it unlocks special attacks, and I'll go into that later on. So even if you do 1 shot at each, there will always be 1 health transfer. So 1 transfer is our best situation, 3 transfers is our worst situation, anything in between, we're not being efficient. So if you've done 2, you know they've gained health, you haven't been efficient. Because we know they will always do 1 health transfer to unlock those special attacks, it's even more imperative that we keep the damage even at the start, so that when they do that first health transfer, it's more or less just no health going over, it's only really refreshing their armor and unlocking those special attacks. This is stage 1 from the Leap Deep Dive, and I'm trying to split that firepower out, but my team go for an alpha strike on the Lacerator without me realizing. Look how much health we get it down to before it goes up and heals. It's absolutely crazy. We had it on a sliver and it goes up. I recommend if you're going to try and do this alpha strike, try and get both of them down to about half health and then go for it. Ironically, if I'd actually focused on the Lacerator also, we probably would have achieved this alpha strike. To play it safe, I recommend bringing both down to about half health and then throwing all of your cryo grenades or your cryo cannon and then trying to do that alpha strike and assassinate one of them. Before the health transfer, the Lacerator has only actually got 3 attacks. One of them, which is this like rock wave, which is easily dodged. It always starts off right, left, and then goes into the middle. And you've also then got this sort of inferno breath, this fire breath that it does. Both of them really easy to dodge and also locks it into a stationary position, so it's easy to get behind and attack. Through my testing, it's only after the first health transfer that the actual Lacerator gets its burrow attack, where it will burrow into the ground and then come back out and in a cone deal damage. The Lacerator also has a bite attack, but it so rarely happens, you literally have to run into into its jaws and stand there for a while before it does its bite attack. These three are the main attacks that the Lacerator will do. The Arbalest only has two different types of attack. It starts off with this explosive barrage where it fires out these three sort of fireballs which then explode in area effect damage. So this is what it starts with. It's only after you do the health transfer that it gets its kind of fireball fan that it then throws out. These are quite easy to dodge, but keep in mind this is a lower hazard level. On hazard 5, these projectiles fire out a lot quicker. You can move closer towards the target because then the balls will kind of go behind you, so you can dodge it that way. The fireball fan is unlocked after that first health transfer, and I couldn't really determine what triggers it, if it's range, distance. It would sometimes fire 3, 4, 5 times in a row, sometimes it would fire the fireball arcs 3, 4 times in a row. I couldn't really determine any difference, and that goes the same with the Lacerator with its attacks. If you get closer, it seems to be more often to do that fire breath, but it didn't really seem consistent. I couldn't trigger it as I wanted. If you kill the Lacerator first, of which most people do, the Arbalest fires out a one-time special explosive barrage. It does a kind of scream and then fires all over the place. This is just one time when the Lacerator dies. Through my testing, if you kill the Arbalest first, the Lacerator doesn't have any kind of special attacks. I did have a much better video of this, but for the life of me I can't find it now, so this is the best one I've got, I'm sorry. The final thing I want to say about this fight is always try and keep them both tagged with your terrain scanner, especially the Arbalest. It will go all over the place, and then when it burrows back into the map, you can then see it easily. This is especially important because you obviously want to keep that even fire across both. This is one of the reasons why people tend to focus on the Lacerator and not split that fire. I hope my experiments have helped you understand this fight a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.